wonder if Bob Michael is onto something and whether you would agree with this idea that more broadly, maybe it's not this week, but maybe it's this month, maybe it's the next couple of months that we're seeing the peak in dollar exceptionalism. And with all of the money looking to be raised elsewhere, there is going to be a sucking sound away from the United States in dollar assets.
Well, I think this is a question really about US exceptionalism, really for the next decade, for the next 2 or 3 decades. Even I don't think it's going to be able to be answered in a very short term. I mean, to me, one of the definitions of US exceptionalism is the fact that the dollar has its own fundamentals, and that derives from the fact that about 50% of the world's invoices are in dollars, and that means that even when negative news comes from, say, the US budget, people need their dollars. They buy their dollars. That's why it is essentially a safe haven. And for that to change, we're going to have this very slow, and it's already started, this very slow progression away from using dollars as an invoicing currency, and therefore, as a reserve currency. That has started. It's quite possible that Trump's policies with respect to Europe, with respect to Canada, Mexico, etc., make people move away from the dollars. But that is a very slow process, and I don't think we're going to be able to answer that question quickly.
Well, what fills the void, Jane?
Well, precisely, and that is why the movement away from the dollar use of the dollar internationally will be very, very slow. I mean, clearly what we've seen over the last few years is, China wanting to use the renminbi as more of an invoicing currency, for instance. That will carry on, and some of its trade allies will continue to, be pushed in that direction. It is going to be interesting to see whether or not there is a European response over the next 4 years. That perhaps will depend what happens between Trump and Europe in terms of tariffs, for instance. But again, I think the question about dollar de-dollarization is a very slow one.